Welcome to the Innovation World Podcast, your go-to source for all things innovation, invention, and entrepreneurship. Our website is www.innovationworld.org.
Thank you for joining the Innovation World Podcast series. My name is Julie Shively, and I'm the founder of Innovation World and the co-founder of the Global Innovation Field Trip. I'd love for my co-host to introduce himself now.
Hi, my name is Jake Mendelson. I am absolutely delighted to be here. Not only do I get to work with Julie, but even more exciting, I get to work with young innovators from around the world who are doing such exciting things. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about this. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thanks for joining us today, Jake. So just a couple announcements before we get started. Coming up in October, actually coming up every October, January, April, and July, is the Global Innovation Field Trip. In 2023, the October event will be on October 14th and 15th, but we do this every once a quarter every year. So Global Innovation Field Trip is a 24-hour online celebration of youth innovation. And we invite students from all over the world to come to share their stories of innovation, what inspired them, what motivated them, what they did, and what they want to do with it going forward. And it's just a wonderful, feel-good program to watch. And if you're interested in being a presenter, reach out to globalinnovationfieldtrip@gmail.com. And before Jake asks, it does not cost anything to present or to watch the Global Innovation Field Trip. It is just our way of trying to give back and support the youth innovation space. So we hope to see you there. Jake, I know you have a program coming up very soon as well. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
But I'd also like to share one more point. The name is exactly what it is. It's a global event. So just because I happen to be living in the United States, anywhere in the world, in any time zone, we run this program for 24 hours so that there's always some part of the day where you're awake, and it's a perfect time for you to give your presentations.
Great point. Also, how many countries have participated in this so far, Jake?
Well, we're up to 64 now, and that's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. Yeah. And by the way, it's not that a country can only participate once. I mean, obviously, there are some countries where there are many, many innovators, and they've been coming back and again and doing that. So everyone is welcome. It's great. Speaking of that, there are some wonderful programs around the world to encourage youth innovation. I know Julie is running a wonderful one in the United States, and it's a challenge where the students come up with an innovation and they get a chance to talk about it and show their logbooks, and we have some judging, and it's wonderful. But then the problem is, once you're done at the national level, what do you do? So we have created a global innovation challenge, and students who participate in their national program, like in the United States or in China or in Indonesia, can then move up to the global program. And that's going to be held again this year in October. But the deadline for registration is September 10th. September 10th. So if you go to inventfuture.global, you will see an opportunity if you want to register. If you have been nominated by the program in your country, and once again, it's a chance you have to register and you have to upload your information. So please do that. And Julie, I guess you'll be contacting all the people in the United States who have been nominated, right?
Yes, sorry, I have mute.
It's okay.
Actually, those students have all been notified already, and one of them is with us today, so we're really excited to talk.
But she has not registered yet. Okay.
You know what? I think she'll do it right after she gets off this podcast today, probably.
Okay.
How's that for pressure?
Okay, the pressure is on. The pressure is on.
Maybe she's got somewhere else to go during that, and she can't make it. But I hope she does.
Oh, no.
Well, that's the nice thing about being virtual, right? Even if you're on vacation, you can join in. So there'll be no excuses.
We've had people, and you know that, Julie. We've had people on vacation calling in from and giving a presentation from a hotel room or even from the beach. We've had people doing that. So
that's really great, though, because from all of the years that we spent at the invention conventions we worked in, even the national one, there was always people that said, but we're on vacation, can't we participate? And back then No, if you weren't in person, you couldn't do it. So it's kind of one of the very few benefits of having gone through a pandemic is it kind of changed people's expectations and what they were willing to do and try. So, all right. Well, with that, I think that, did you have any other announcements, Jake?
No, I'm looking forward to the new excitement here, please.
Yeah. So just real briefly, I want to tell you about how I know the person that's on here today, as much as I do know about her anyway. I was invited to a radio show called Home Talk USA, and they have a program called Invent America. It's hosted by Rita Crompton, the inventor lady, and she wanted to dabble in youth interviews. I don't think that their program had done that before, and she was excited to try it. And so we had to select 2 students from across the United States, and one of them is with us today to share whatever she'd like to share about innovation in her world. And so that's how we first met. She was the Connecticut Invention Convention, gave me her name and information, and she said, yes, I want to do it. And she did a spectacular interview. And so if you have a chance, go out there and Google Invent America radio show by Home Talk USA and look up her radio show. It's very good. And then she participated in the National Innovator Challenge, for which I'm on that steering committee. It's run by Hewitt Learning, and a fabulous program. It's US based, and it challenges students around the United States who have a idea, an app, or a prototype to compete against their peers. And she advanced from that and will now be, hopefully, if she signs up, attending the Global Innovation Challenge that Invent Future Global puts on. That deadline is September 10th for her registration. And then one of the really cool things about that program this year, and we're doing this for the very first time, is the final judging round, or I think it's the final judging round, be very close to the finals, if not, will be held at the October 14th, 15th Global Innovation Field Trip live for the entire world to see. Not to put any pressure on you, mind you, but it'll be fantastic. And what a way to celebrate young innovators than to show them with their pitches on live feed around the world. So with that, I am going to allow our guest to introduce herself, tell us where she's from, what grade she's in, and tell us any part of her invention story or innovation story that she'd like to share, and we will write down some questions for her. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Yeah, so my name is Suchita Srinivasan. I'm a rising sophomore at Cheshire High School in Cheshire, Connecticut. And I've been inventing for a few years now. I think I started in 5th grade, but I've been involved in STEM and technology for years, more years than that. So I think I started with Scratch in 3rd grade, drag and drop. And from there, I decided to expand my knowledge. I learned about Python, Arduino, Java, which I'm using in my high school robotics team. But it was in 5th grade that I decided to use those skills to actually invent something. And so since then, I've created, various prototypes, various inventions, such as like a gun prevention device, a COVID-19 social distancing device. And now for the last 2 years, I've been working on and expanding a domestic violence alerting device. So being an inventor, I've learned a lot throughout the process. I think in the beginning, I just thought that inventing just meant solving a problem. You find a problem and you solve it. But there's so much more than that. It's about what's already been done on the market, who is your customer, budget, time, there's so much more that you need to think about. And I think, being involved in this process for the last few years has really taught me to, become a better inventor, but also become a better person. It's taught me to open my eyes to the different problems around me, not just as an observer, but as someone who actively participates and actively tries to solve these problems. So yeah, it's been an amazing process so far for the last few years, and I can't wait to continue inventing.
That's wonderful. So you're pausing, so I'm assuming you're allowing us a little space to ask a question then. So I have one for you. So you do talk about how inventing, you discovered, is really a lot more than just finding a problem and solving that problem alone. So there is so many things around taking that beyond just creating that prototype, as you said. And I wonder what motivated you to keep going, or what you'd tell other students when they finally make that realization that, oh, wow, this is a lot bigger than I thought. What would you advise kids?
I think it's just understanding how prevalent, the issue that you're solving is, or how important it is to you. For me, like this year, or for the last 2 years, I've been creating my domestic violence alerting device. And what inspired me to actually, solve this problem was that a domestic violence incident occurred in my hometown. And a person directly affected by it was actually a classmate of mine. He lost his mom. And I think that was just, it just really opened my eyes that this was a real issue. Like, it's bigger than all of us. And I think it was just really important that I create a solution and, just keep refining my prototype, keep making it better so that it can actually help people. And I think that's what motivates me, understanding that one day my invention can actually either save lives or make people's lives easier or better in any way. And I think that's just really important to understand and process.
Great, wonderful. If I can just make a comment to help you clarify something. The description of this innovation is being deliberately vague because you don't have legal protection yet, right? Okay. You should make sure you tell people that, because people listening to this are going, wow, this is great. I want the details, and have to wait until you actually have the patent protection. So let me just ask you, where are you in that process? Do you have an attorney, or what do you have to do to make it go forward?
Yeah, so I'm currently still refining my project. I can kind of share like the high overview of my project. It's a domestic violence alerting device, consisted of a device and an app. And basically the device detects domestic violence and alerts the authorities or the user's contact when an incident occurs. And the app is where the user can enter their profile and contact information, which is used in the device. So I'm still not completely done with my project. I'm still, adding advancements, refining it. And I think I'm going to continue doing that before I file for a patent, but it's definitely something that I'm interested in. So because of that, I can't go into the specifics of my project.
Good. No, I understand. That's perfectly good. Could I recommend, though, that you do contact an attorney now just to find out what the attorney thinks is the right time to start actually making the process go forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because what you don't want to be is in a situation where you find out something and say, oh, I wish I knew that 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to just check. So let me ask you a technical question. I'm sorry. Obviously, this involves some coding, and you mentioned that you know Scratch and Python and Java. So what language are you doing the coding in, and why are you using that language?
Yeah, so for the device, I'm actually using Arduino. So the reason why I'm using Arduino is because I have fairly good experience with it. I've been using it for a few years now, but it's also really good when, using sensors and hardware. It's a great way of combining software and hardware. And because of that, I've been using Arduino to program my device. For my mobile application, I'm using Flutter. So Flutter is a cross-platform software that can deploy into both Android and iOS platforms from a single code base. So what that basically means is I don't need to write different codes to, for my Android app and for my iOS app. I have the same code and it can deploy to both. And, that's really great because then there isn't any changes. Like when I need to update my app, I don't need to update it in, 2 different code bases. I just need to update it in that single code base. So because of that, Flutter makes it a really great software to use.
So the Arduino is hardware. So what software are you using? Are you using Python on the Arduino, or?
So Arduino is both there's a hardware microcontroller called Arduino, and then there's also the software that is used to code Arduino, which I think is based off of C, but I'm not entirely sure. But I'm not using the Arduino microcontroller. I'm using the Arduino program. And basically, I'm using an ESP32 microcontroller, which is a different microcontroller. And it has different benefits as to why I'm using it. But I'm using that along with the Arduino code to kind of combine the software and the hardware.
Great. Julie, you need to wake up.
I am wide awake. There's a dog in my office chasing a sale, and that gets kind of noisy when he hits things. It's pretty funny. Being a puppy, I tell you. So I have a couple questions for you. I think, by the way, did you not, as part of the National Innovator Challenge, end up with a free consultation with Bold Patents?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. So that is a good first step, and you can cover that with them when you talk to them to figure out, what point do I really need to do this, or how much information can I give away now without risking my my intellectual property. I'm kind of curious, anytime I hear anything that is app-based, I'm curious about the security that will be built in, since it will obviously have some personal information about that person in it. How do you test the security of something like that? Are there places that once you've built it, you can take it out there and go, all right, do whatever you can to try to break into this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the potential victim to become a real victim, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. So the first step to ensuring security is ensuring that, you have a proper authentication system. So whether that be two-factor authentication, where, you could use like email, password, and then you have like phone number. So it's two ways to make sure it's the user that's signing in and not some random other person. And then there's, as great as that is, there will always be little chinks that you need to figure out. And I think the best way to go about that is just try different things, what can you do to try to break your system. So you can see where do you need to, refine your code so that it's stronger, so that it better protects the victim's information. That's definitely important.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you said that you were already doing Scratch in third grade. Is this something that you were learning through school, or did you go out and do some outside extracurricular activities that taught you this, or do you have, parents that code, or how did you do that in third grade?
Yeah, so in my school district, we don't really have that many computer science courses until you reach high school. But I think at that age, my parents or my dad programs. So he kind of introduced this to me. He showed me this Udemy course. My mom showed me this Udemy course too. They were like, oh, do you want to try this? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I just went through the course. I was just learning, the different parts of the drag and drop aspect of Scratch. And I just kind of explored that way. And from there, it was just once I was immersed in this field of technology and programming, I realized that this really interested me. So I kind of, took it upon myself to learn different things, whether that be through YouTube tutorials or any free workshops that I could find. I just kind of extended my knowledge that way.
Yeah, I would like to point out for anyone who's listening and is sort of intrigued by this conversation, Scratch was developed by MIT and it is absolutely free. And so if you're interested, you just go to MIT or type in Scratch and it'll come up and you can download it. It works on any machine, and there's a shallow learning curve, and it's not real steep. You can start off doing very simple things and then go with more and more advanced, and you can end up with really sophisticated projects. So it's a great way for anyone to get involved in the coding. And even if you're not in third grade, it's a good place to start.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the great thing about Scratch is that, it just builds a solid understanding for you in terms of what programming is. So it's instructions that you give to the computer to achieve a certain task, and you can really kind of grasp that idea without having to deal with complicated syntax or complicated words that, you're looking at it and you're like, I don't understand what this means. So that's what's really great about Scratch. And I think that definitely helped me in understanding the different aspects of computer science and technology.
How long has Scratch been around, Jake?
Oh boy,
I just remember I worked for a software company in I'm sure before our guest was born, but it was in the late 80s, very late, early 90s.
No,
And I wasn't a developer in any way at all. But I remember just watching them go through these lines of code and trying to figure out where's the mistake. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's like some foreign language. I mean, I have a sister who's also a developer, and I would have to poke my eyes out. So Scratch sounds like something a little bit more up my alley if it's a drag and drop. And I am assuming the code's built into what you're dragging and dropping. And it's harder to make some mistakes. And what a cool way to make it more accessible for people who don't want to sit and learn from the beginning what every piece of this code means and does, and how one little character can break everything.
And it's in English. The great thing is it's English. You can you don't have to understand what behind the icon. The icon is in English.
Yeah, definitely.
So you mentioned your parents and how they helped you kind of immerse yourself in this technology. And I think what I see from you is once you have your patent at some point and you're out there selling your product, it would be wonderful if that's what you did for other students as well, as became a role model. And maybe, whether you're doing podcasts or whether you're doing conferences or however you're making yourself accessible, you've got a wonderful story from the beginning, from just educating yourself on things that interest you and keep going with it. And it'll be something that another young girl looks at and says, well, look, she's just a regular kid. I can do what she did. So
exactly. I'm actually a part of this organization called Tech Girls. I'm part of their teen advisory board. And this organization, Tech Girls, is dedicated to inspiring girls in technology. So as a part of their, tab group, I've been hosting workshops in my hometown, hosting workshops as part of the organization where kids all around either the United States or even people outside of the United States can join these workshops and learn about different parts of technology. So it's definitely something I'm interested in.
I'm sorry, that must not exist, because nobody has been on the Global Innovation Field Trip talking about Tech Girls, so it must not exist.
No, it's a great.
So I think that you should probably do a presentation on the Global Innovation Field Trip about Tech Girls.
Okay, you definitely
get the word out there. I mean, you could do a 10-minute or you could do a 25-minute presentation, whatever works for you. Bring on some of your peers if you want to, and whether you do it as a panel discussion or whether you just do it as, we're presenting this organization to you. We want you kids, girls from all over the world to join in and be a part of it. Please.
Definitely.
We'd absolutely love that.
Yeah.
I have seen Tech Girls somewhere very recently as well, and so I'm not sure where, but I'm intrigued and would love to do whatever we can to help support that organization as well. So I'll look it up when we get off, or if you want to send me a link when we're done with our podcast. But please consider signing up for whichever Global Innovation Field Trip you'd like to sign up for. I think that you will already be on their part of the event as a participant in the Global Innovation Challenge, but that doesn't mean you can't reserve a spot somewhere else in the schedule.
Okay, definitely. That's definitely something I'm interested in.
Now, is there a certain age group to be in Tech Girls?
Yeah, so for girls learning about these different workshop lessons, which cover topics such as artificial intelligence, Python, Java, JavaScript, so many different topics, but those girls have to be in middle school. I think it's 5th grade to 8th grade. But anyone can volunteer to teach these workshops. As a part of TAB, we do that as well. We teach these workshops either in our own community or through virtual workshops in which girls can join from all around the world. So
nice. I love it. There's from the programs I've been involved in the last 20 years, there's a large number of girls who start in the STEM field or in STEM activities and are interested in, but you start to lose them around that middle school age. And part of that is there's just not been focused programming out there to encourage them. So I love when I hear anything like Tech Girls or Girls in Code, all of those type of programs to help take them to that next level and show them that there's still a place you can still go farther and you can still do more, and we'll help guide you to do that. So wonderful and inspiring at the same time. Thank you for being part of that and for volunteering for that.
Thank you.
So if Jake doesn't have any more questions, I always have a question that I love to ask every young innovator that I meet, because you never know what kind of answers you're going to get. And it's a really pretty and easy question. It is, if you could go to lunch with anybody in the world, anybody at all, whether they're still here or not, who would that be and why would you select them?
Yeah, so for me, I think I would like to go to lunch with Blackpink. They're this K-pop girl group. And while I really do love their music, the main reason why I would want to, meet up with them is just to talk about their journey and the struggles they went through to become this K-pop artist. And I'm not sure if you know, but becoming a K-pop idol is super stressful and super complicated. Oftentimes, these trainees will need to come, like in Korea, they have to leave their homes. They have to go to this training center and they train for hours on end to like 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes. And they do that every day. And sometimes they only get like weekends off like every 2 weeks. And they do this for years, like 5 years. It depends on the trainee, but not everyone who goes to train becomes an idol. In fact, most people don't. And I think I would just like to ask like these Blackpink members, like, what did you tell yourself to keep going, to keep motivating yourself and fighting for your dream when you didn't know if you would achieve your dream or not. You didn't know if you would debut. You didn't know if you would go on to make music and do what you wanted to do. And I think I would just like to have that conversation with these members because I just find that super inspiring. And it's definitely a mindset I would want to incorporate when I'm fighting for my dreams or when I, have to overcome a failure. So that's definitely why I would like to talk to Blackpink.
So have you reached out to them?
They're like this huge global group.
Yeah.
Insane. Like it's, yeah.
Well, that's not a reason not to. They're human beings. They're like you, just a little farther down the road, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Jake might have a short story about that. About reaching out to people that you think you can't reach out to.
Oh, we were talking to a young person, actually younger than you, I believe.
He's 9.
Oh, wow.
A baby, a child. Anyway, when we asked him the question, he said Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astronomer. And so we said, well, did you write him a letter? And he said, well, no, he's famous. I can't write him a letter. And I said, sure you can. So he wrote him a letter and Neil deGrasse Tyson met with him. He was actually on his show. He got to, talk with him. It just happened. So
wow.
You don't do it, I guarantee you, they won't meet you. But if you do it, it could happen. You don't know.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's such a cool story.
Well, you let us know how it goes after you reach out to him. He wrote this really nice, like 8-page handwritten letter, and at the end it says, "Let me know when you're picking me up for lunch." That's pretty cool. And I just it was just perfect. And I think that a lot of times, a lot of people think that, those are unreachable people. And imagine how that probably makes them feel, to feel isolated like that. So they might very much appreciate it.
And you need to also tell them who you are. Oh, listen, they get 10,000, messages a day from, squealy little girls who are just, oh, I love you. You're so nice. That kind of stuff. But you're not that. You're a real person who's going to be going and doing important things in the future. Okay. And so you need to tell them that, you need to tell them who you are and that you're a substantial person with a real future and you would like to talk to them, and who knows, it may strike a bell.
Yeah. Thank you. That's really inspiring.
Now she has to edit the whole first part of that note she was going to send where she was squealing at him because she loved their music.
No.
Just kidding.
Now she has to register for the Global Innovation Challenge.
Oh, I will.
Then after she has done that, then she can write to these other people.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to register. I've been just, refining my project. So I want to make sure once I'm done refining it that I sign up. with my
But you don't understand. The registration is, what is your name? What is the title of your presentation? How old are you? It's stuff that you already know.
Well, unless she's planning to change her name before then, that you never know.
Oh, we can edit it. Don't worry. If you decide to change your name, we can edit the database. It's not a problem.
Wonderful. It has been such an honor to speak with you today. And we're so excited about your progress with the National Innovator Challenge and the Global Innovation Challenge. And we'll be watching to see how that goes. We hope that you do sign up to talk about Tech Girls. We would love that. And to reach out to Blackpink members. And I'm going to look them up as soon as we get off this call, because now you've got me intrigued and I want to hear what they've got to sing.
Thank you.
And learn a little bit about their story. So I'm sure they appreciate you spreading the word about them as well.
Thank you so much for
Sure.
this podcast, for everything.
Thank you. Just another announcement before we go. If you are interested in watching or learning about or presenting at the next Global Innovation Field Trip, all you have to do is go to globalinnovationfieldtrip.org and check it out. And you can sign up to be a presenter, or you can watch us live on YouTube. The next event is October 14, 15 of 2023, but we do this every January, April, July, and October. So there's always one that's coming up, and we invite you to be a part of it and be inspired by all these young innovators. And today's guest will be there in maybe more than one capacity that day. And so we're excited, and thank you all for joining the Innovation World podcast series, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us today for the Innovation World podcast. Innovation World is your go-to source for all things innovation, invention, and entrepreneurship. Our website is www.innovationworld.org.